Hello, welcome to the Beast of the East podcast. I'm your host Shane, and we have Austin, Brady, Ian, and gonna have a fantastic show today, ladies and gentlemen. So, boys, let's dive right in. Let's talk about the June betting odds to win the division. The Rays currently lead at plus 150, followed by the Yankees plus 160, Red Sox plus 385, Blue Jays plus 600, and Baltimore way at the bottom of the list at plus 30,000. So let's just get right into it. Austin, what are your opinions on this? Let's.
Largely reasonable and fair to the Red Sox. I think the Red Sox have been very, very good this year. And I think they're overvaluing the Yankees a lot. I mean, it's one thing to say we're doing bad 2 months through the season, but let's get real here. Let's get really real. This is June, okay? And this team is and to think that's gonna fix without any substantial change or trade is, in my opinion, unrealistic. So, while I do agree with a lot of things that these odds suggest.
As of right now, I think it's a pretty I think it's a little too close to call between the Red Sox and the Rays. Right now, below 500. The Red Sox have been consistently good. I really can't see them not being good anytime soon. I think that this strong star names on the roster. Not a lot of household names at all. I mean, you look at guys like Rich Hill, Brandon Lau. I mean, Brandon Lau's sort of a star, but not really. Joey Wendell,
Not a
Yandy
star yet.
Diaz,
No.
who you talk about a lot, and yet the Rays, they still remain competitive. And as Austin said, the Yankees, they're still having consistent errors they've had for the past, 3 years.
The strongest hole being the leadoff hitter, right? Inconsistent leadoff hitter. Kike Hernandez has been slow in the leadoff. And today, I think we tried out Danny
Bullpen other
Santana
than Matt Barnes hasn't been very good, if I may.
all season.
But I don't think you have the bullpen depth to last 160
What have
games
you
this
seen that
season.
makes you say that? I'm a little.
Yeah,
I
I
just
gotta
don't think
disagree with you there, Austin.
I just don't think they have the same like length of quality arms as the. If you look at the Rays in the 20, it was good. Nick Anderson underperformed.
Well,
A lot of
I don't
arms
think that was
underperformed.
because of her
And
depth
now, now,
issue.
now, now, what I chalk that up to, in my personal opinion, is that they have depth other than Matt Barnes. That's just my opinion.
Well, I just feel like there's no proof to advise against it. Since
Well,
you don't
now you
know
have
their
proven
names,
people.
doesn't that suggest they haven't done anything wrong enough to be bad? To let you know that, like, of their existence?
Well, just because I'm not familiar with the names in particular. I mean, I've looked over the bullpen. Could I quote every single arm for you at the moment? No. But I mean, you've watched the games. Do you really think that you have as quality of a bullpen as the
I
Yankees
think we
or
have
Rays?
the most quality bullpen in the AL East as it stands due to the Rays' injuries. The Yankees have a very inconsistent bullpen, but
Oh, yeah,
I'd say if the Rays aren't injured, they would be the best. But at
especially their bullpen. So I
I'm
would
gonna have
argue
to
that
agree
point.
with B on this one. The Boston Red Sox bullpen right now is looking like the most consistent in the AL East. Now, best, I don't know. You gotta.
Like, as far as the bullpen and pitching goes, I think the Yankees are still at the top. You see us losing games because our offense can't produce at all. I mean, we have. I mean, if you look at the numbers, our pitching's runner or average with runners in scoring position, on base percentage. I mean, these numbers are awful for the Yankees, just terrible. Now, if our lineup was even average, I think that we would easily be winning this.
Bad starts. I think also a big factor of the Yankees lineup is injuries. I mean, Luke Voigt is out, Aaron Hicks is out. You're seeing a lot of guys who you usually don't see in the Yankees lineup. I mean,
Lineup is hitting below 200, then you can't really expect to win many ball games. And I think that the Yankees still have a great shot to win the division because this is a very fixable problem, right? If you look at years past, matter of time, right? You can give some leeway to the Yankees bullpen. Now, our pitching performing well, that's great to see because that's been terrible in years past, and that's what's lost us games.
I still
Now it's
feel
the
like
other
you're.
way.
I would say
Can
that.
we
I would
get
say Teona's been pretty.
Well, I mean, our
I mean, he's a
4 and 5 are
5
average, but
ERA.
Herman was good. Herman's awesome. He has a sub 4. I mean, Kluber was pitching lights out before he got injured. He'll be back in 2 months, right? You still got Cole. Mike King's pitched well for a rookie, and Davy Garcia hasn't even been doing that bad. He has a 4 ERA, give it, but I mean that's still pretty good. Even with we've actually lost the majority of our games with Cole. We've won more with Herman. I feel like. I mean, the Yankees, we have a lot of depth in starting pitching.
Okay, guys, I kind of want to redirect the conversation here real quick. So let's talk predictions. Let's talk end of year predictions. Ian, I want to start with you. How do you see the AL East shaking up at the end of the season?
I think there's 3 teams to look out for. Actually, more like 4 teams. It's the Yankees, Toronto
The, N-
coming back.
the NL West also looks very strong, but I would give it to the AL East due to the fourth team being a
Yeah,
competitor.
don't get me wrong. The NL West, excuse me, is certainly looking like 3-7 in their last 10. They're on a 3-game losing streak. But Toronto's looking hot. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has been looking incredible. Boston has gotten off Josh Frank Jordan hasn't seemed to fall. Really been catching up with him since the no-hitter, but
John
Eric
Means
DeMarco
today
Wallace
actually
is still
only
pitching
0.2
good.
innings got taken out, got blown up
Yeah, I
today.
heard it a bad game today, but you know what? That's gonna happen. From look at wins and losses. It's becoming
That's
less
fair.
important.
It's just a quick glance thing I've noticed about him.
I mean, if I could speak on this for a second, the competitors, I know as well who are very good. I still think that their team just isn't quite there yet as it comes to or not playoff contention and World Series contention. I think
Actually, I believe their team is one of the better rosters in the MLB because of all the star talent they have. I think they're gonna miss because of the difficulty of their division rather than their. You put the Blue Jays in the Central, they're winning the division. I think you put the Blue
I
Jays
don't
in
know
the
about
South.
that,
I
but
mean, in the West, and they're winning the division.
I think even if they had average pitching, their lineup is so good that they would be able to do something. I just feel like with the bullpen.
Pretty positive has been having a solid year.
But I mean, you saw that Pearson underperformed quite a bit as well. He was supposed to be a top arm for them going in. He started as the second guy in the rotation.
Let me actually take a look at that.
I'm checking
If
it
I
out
had
right
to guess, I'd say Toronto is actually probably beating the Yankees in this season series.
Yeah, the Yankees are down 3-6 in the current series, so it looks like the Blue Jays have gotten the better of them.
Yeah, but that's
Yeah.
a matchup thing. I'm speaking generally here.
And then, of course, you know, we don't know how this is all going to shake up at the end of the season. So I would say my end of season predictions would probably either include Tampa Bay or Boston leading, New York closely behind either one of them, Toronto, and then Baltimore. Something like that is probably what we're going to see in October.
I've been these last 3 weeks. I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs.
I
Way
think
too.
if Luke
I think
Voigt-
that's a ridiculous take. I think
Uh,
in the last 1 week, that is completely reasonable because we've been terrible the last 1 week.
Luke Voigt comes back for the Yankees. That'll be a if Luke Voigt can.
I'm referring.
You know,
I'm referring to the
power
series where you've lost to the Tigers, got swept by the Tigers, lost to the Blue Jays. When's the last time?
Played bad for a week, but that's been this team's MO since 2020. I mean, you saw us win 10 games in a row, get swept by the Marlins, go in the postseason and rock Shane Bieber. Like, yes, the team right, and then we lose like crazy. That's just kind of how it works sometimes.
So, Austin, I
Especially with
gotta
the
ask
lineup.
you a question. What do you
Go
think
ahead,
it would take for the Yankees to be consistently on top?
Consistently good. I think it
good?
would require more contact hitting in the lineup. You've heard trade talks. Trevor Story in the offseason. I can almost guarantee it.
What does that mean for? What does that mean for? What's his name? Gleyber Torres.
Gleyber Torres? I think Gleyber Torres has had not been able to keep that pace consistently. I mean, he's underperformed this year. He underperformed in 2020 minus the postseason. He did do good in the postseason, you know, granted that, but he had back to second base.
Yeah. So when we look at when we look at my predictions for the AL East at the end of the year, I think I can guarantee you that the Blue Jays, Red Sox, any team finishes with less than 79 or more than 100. Orioles, of course, are an exception. I doubt they even get 65. They don't look good at all. But the other 4 teams should stay very competitive throughout the year, and I doubt one team gets too far ahead from one another at all times.
Sox or Rays hit a terrible losing streak for 2 weeks. Do you think perhaps it's possible that they almost sell out knowing how competitive the division is, and almost just try and or maybe save some lineup health, whatever, either tank or go for
The Yankees to start tanking anytime soon.
Do I expect them to tank? No, I think they're in.
I don't
route
think that
for
would
a
be
trade.
possible.
But I think these teams are almost running on momentum to a degree. Like I think the Red Sox are probably solid, but let's just say something would come up to change that point. I think it's more possible for
During the end of the rebuilding phase, I think Toronto is starting.
Yeah,
to
I completely I think the Red Sox and the
Rebuilding is-
Blue Jays
if
both
they
have
start
more.
losing a lot. It's a possibility.
I think the Red Sox and Blue Jays have more complete rosters than the said lineup.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think 3 bad batters is chalked up to.
Well, I mean,
it's
pretty much
terrible
everybody's
roster.
underperforming. I mean, the Yankees were known for hitting home runs. That, like, I mean, Cecil Mayhew's obviously underperforming, but I mean, just look
Yeah.
at everybody.
Well,
It's 7, 8, 9 home runs for almost everybody. It's just not very good stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up the home.
Yeah, that doesn't
Boston Red Sox and Tampa Bay Rays are tied with 72. But it's a bit of a surprise. I didn't think Tampa Bay was much of a home run hitting team. And at
I want to chalk that up to poor roster construction because you've seen this exact roster perform extremely well. In
Yankees
the past
roster,
years.
it looks very different than
Well, he kind of looks like in 2018 form. I would say
you know
when
what he
when
is
Judge
actually.
what I really see when the Yankees are performing is when Judge and Stanton are hot. I think that, but I'm saying that's how we win games offensively. And if that's not happening, we're not going to win. And when it does happen, we'll win. So we'll continue to lose 7 out of 10, win 10 in a row, lose 7 out of 10. I mean, this offense is completely being picked up by the pitching. But it's very easy to change around when Stanton and Judge are hot. And I think we're coming up on that stretch of those games. Now, him underperforming now is largely why I think we're underperforming recently, not on the season. Is why.
So you think the team relies on
Stanton
Stanton for its?
and Judge? Yeah, I think our power hitters are what are.
You guys a question. So I'll start with BY on this one. So BY, as of right now in the AL East, who do you think the best batter and the best pitcher is right now?
Best batter currently in the so that's my preferred stat to use. If I want to say best batter currently, I'm gonna have to
Yeah,
go with
best batter.
Rafael Devers.
Okay.
I think he's one of the most clutch RBIs in the MLB and has one of the highest batting averages. And I think he's a very complete hitter. He could work on his swing speed though, but up to his skill level currently. They're both very great pitchers that do have lows at moments. But I think
they're
Cole's
very
hires are just. I think Cole's best games are just a bit better than Glasnow's.
I mean, has he been performing at a season high as well as Judge and Rafi? I'm gonna say no, but I do like to take recency into account order you want. And close behind is JD. I think he's been having a pretty good year. If you look at the Rays, they don't have any standout hitters, but as a team, they're very complete. They get the job done a lot on offense. Certainly, I would agree. Austin Meadows has been doing very good. Joey Wendell in the early season, I know he had a high batting average. I think he fell
I think
off
he still
a
does.
little bit.
So who do you
Yeah,
go? Who do you go
exactly.
for? Who would you
He
say for
fell
pitcher?
off.
You agree on Cole?
For pitching, Cole's last couple starts have been a little rocky. Especially the most recent one against the Rays, because I feel like what you said really represented him well. At his best, he's the best pitcher in baseball, probably. I mean, you can't knock DeGrom, but like, it's either he's got that high strikeout stuff, so much movement on his fastball, slider's fantastic. Glasnow, though, he's an ace. I mean, I don't know if anyone expected it coming into the season.
First off, AL East batter, I'm gonna have to agree with Austin here. Vladdy is definitely the best batter. 17 home runs, 45 RBIs. I mean, 330 batting average. He's obviously an ace. He's obviously the best pitcher in the Rays staff as a whole. But right now, the best pitcher in the AL East, I'm going with Dick Mass. I mean, 3.32 ERA. I mean, he has not a whole lot of strikeouts, but you know that isn't necessarily his game. Huge sweeping breaking ball, really good stuff. And I mean, he's blowing 89 miles per.
Because of his age, he gets a little less of a workload, and that kind of helps his numbers a little bit. Because if you saw his most recent start, he only went like 5.2 innings. Or do you think that's just the way that the Rays managed their?
Per second, the Rays had their first complete game in 731 games. I think it was 2 days ago by Ryan Yarbrough. I mean, 731 games since work is they're gonna let their starters go 5, maybe 6 innings, and then their bullpen's gonna take over. You know, they have a
so
good
you
enough
think it's due to an
bullpen.
organization thing?
Yeah.
And one more thing that I don't think we touched on. Right, I think even with that terrible start, or his terrible most recent start. So
Oh.
like, John Means. I mean,
Yeah, of
he was,
course,
he was
right
leading
now-
in the ERA like 2 weeks ago. I think we got to mention a guy on the Orioles who's performing that well.
I would say
he really
John
came out of
Means.
nowhere.
I would say John Means. is the
He's up
best
there, man. But
right
I
now in
I
the
don't think
AL
I've
East.
seen enough.
Yeah,
I mean,
agree
his
with you.
all right. I'm
I
gonna
think
tell you
he's
his,
a
his all right. These were his stat lines of his last 4 most recent starts. Into this game against the Rays on May 19th, he was carrying a 1.21 ERA. And then he left that game. 6.1 innings of work. He allowed 4 earned runs on 6 hits. The next start, of course, Twins. He allows 2 earned runs on 5 hits through 7 innings of work. So I would call that a good start personally. Only 2
Yeah.
earned runs through 7 innings. That's a good start.
pretty good.
After that, he
That's
faced the
one.
White Sox, who are a very difficult team. So I'm not going to hold that against him that he allowed 3 through 5. But that's still not
Yeah,
ideal.
not terrible. 3's keeping your team in it. You know.
Yeah.
I feel
That
like
certainly
anything
isn't
below 4
horrible.
keeps your team in it.
And then, of course, his most recent start, he was blown up and was credited the loss. So these numbers are a bit inflated compared to his early start, where he did carry this 1.21 ERA, but it has gone up exponentially since then. And every game
but
since
he's
then-
still a workahorse a little bit.
every
it's
game
still
since then,
a
he's
2
allowed more than
ERA.
2 earned runs, though. So I feel like we should talk because no other pitcher in the AL East has that currently.
Well,
That
he's had
would be
two bad
considered an ace.
starts. I would even say two bad starts. One really bad start, one pretty not good start, and two okay starts. I think a
But
lot
if
of
you're
John
only letting
Means
up 2 runs a
struggles.
game, 3 runs a game, while that isn't the crazy superstar numbers he put up in the beginning of the year, that's still solid. That still keeps your team in it a good
Yeah,
amount. You
no.
know? If a genie would have showed up and asked you if every single game this year your team's opponent would only score 2 runs, I think all of us would probably sign up for that. I mean, that makes every game pretty winnable.
It's quality, sure. But when you compare
Well,
those numbers to Glasnow, like I'm gonna pull up
Glasnow
Glasnow's.
and Cole,
Well,
yeah,
Glasnow has a
I
good
see what you're
lineup.
saying.
I feel like Glasnow is more confident in, you know, maybe I feel like he's more confident when he lets up runs. I feel like he is able to relax a little bit more than John Means, because I mean, John Means, he's not going to get any support if he lets up a run. I mean, that's
And keep in mind,
almost.
Yeah,
Tyler
you're correct. He
Glasnow
does have
usually
he does
has
have the
a-
team disadvantage. I think
Yeah,
he's a very
Glasnow
solid
has a
pitcher.
strong,
What
Glasnow
was
has a
that?
strong bullpen coming in behind him, is what I was gonna say.
Glasnow
But,
stronger bullpen. Yeah, you're correct.
Yeah, we were speaking in on the Rays' strategy, and a lot of times they don't let their pitchers get too deep, and I think that's really tomorrow. That's gonna stop that. It's gonna scuff that out.
I would agree, especially with all the injuries to you know, not only the bullpen but also the rotation. I mean, Chris Archer, he's been gone for a long time. Nick
Nick
Anderson,
Anderson.
our closer, obviously he's going to be gone until the All-Star break. Colin Poche is out. Yanni Chirinos has been out with the true Tommy John. Excuse me. Absolutely
I know.
not.
But the management is so intelligent. The farm system's really great, and they're a good baseball team. I mean, there's nothing more to say about them. Are they a superstar talent, great, fun team to watch? Not necessarily. You know, they're not the Padres. They don't hit a lot. They don't have Fernando Tatis hitting 15 bombs a game, but they are a smart, good, solid baseball team. And that's all you can ask for as a fan.
I think the best catcher has been in the AL East this season.
Well, there's a lot of good catchers in the AL East. Well, actually, I take that back. Best catcher in the AL East is, without a doubt, Mike Zunino. I mean, you look at all, you know, the starting catchers. Mike out hit a home run. An interesting stat I saw this morning, actually, was Mike Zunino has the most no-doubters in the league. So when he hits him, he gets a hold of him, he hits him far. I'd have to say he's the best catcher in the AL East. Right
Yeah,
now.
I'm gonna have to agree with you there, but I'm gonna disagree with the reasoning. I don't take Mike Zunino for his offense. I do get a little wild with their off speed, and Mike Zunino is always in the position to make a stop. I never see pass balls with Mike Zunino, and I just think he's one of the most consistent defensive guys in the league. His hitting, of course, is solid, but I
Not
think
great,
it
but
could
solid.
be better. I personally I
Of
take him for his
course.
defense.
Now,
Austin,
if
what
I could
about you?
speak of the catcher for Wolves are particularly offensive standouts, I think everyone can see that, you know, average low. But if you, I mean, consider the fact that they've had some nice ABs, you know, you see some decent offensive stats for them. So while I do think it's Mike Zunino, I think that you could also, I think it's acceptable to say.
See, but like if we're gonna talk about duos, I feel like
Sure,
I'm pretty sure they lead
yeah.
catchers in RBI.
They do,
Okay.
and home runs.
And I'm gonna come back to you, first baseman. What were we thinking?
Vlad, no question.
Okay, first baseman. Well, let me think about that for a second. Yeah, it's gonna be Vladdy. I mean,
I feel like his defense, of course, could be a little bit better. He is pretty unathletic to be at the first base position, but he just has all the power.
Yeah, honestly, I mean that's older too.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think yeah, I think that's opening shot. And I think second base is opening shot for Marcus Simeon.
Yeah, Marcus
Like,
Simeon,
I
of
know he's
course.
kinda jumping
yeah,
around, but
that's
don't
what I
really
would have
think
said
you
for
can- you
Marcus.
can make- He's just adjusted so well and had such great offense.
Yeah, you look at the series where he, I think the Blue Jays played against the Red Sox, Rays, and Yankees back to back to back, and he just dominated all those teams every game. I was checking the numbers, and every time I looked, Marcus Simeon had a triple. Expected Marcus Simeon to be playing like the guy he is currently in Toronto.
I mean, he's having a 2019 like season for his numbers, and he didn't really pop off the first month, nothing crazy. But then once it hit late May,
His full potential either. I feel like a lot of his numbers are product of being in between Marcus Simeon and Vlad Guerrero, but we'll see. We'll see what he does. Also, Kayvon
Solid
Biggio, of
defender,
course, a big
solid
name on that
defender.
team. He hasn't done much this year.
I think he was
Yeah,
the source
shortstop.
of the season, but yeah.
Shortstop, I'm gonna go with
Oh, yeah,
Xander
whatever.
Bogaerts. High batting average, you know, decent slugging, good OPS, and you know, 10 home runs, 2 to 3.
A little streaky at times, but he doesn't like he's one of the best shortstops in the league. When he does bad,
Offensive-wise, no
it's
question.
usually for like 3 games and then he'll bounce back. One of the most
Yeah,
clutch
I mean,
players.
when he's popping off. Lindor's kind of been a disappointment this season, but I mean, I don't know who swings the bat at the shortstop position better than Xander when he's on top of this game, and that's why.
Freddie Galvis.
Yeah, Ian's
Yeah.
got it.
There you go.
Nah, so I just want to point that out because I feel like the Orioles infield has been just miserable this year.
Terrible.
A lot of their
But
like they're only getting production value from Player of the
Player-
Month, but
player-
we'll
player
get
of
back
the
to
month,
there.
Definitely. We'll get to center field eventually, but we're moving on to third base now.
Yep.
And this one's gonna be open and shut, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Rafael
open and shot,
Devers is
Rafael
having to
Devers.
the
It's no
distribution
question.
in
No
the
one else is
league.
playing up to his skill. I think you can argue Gio Urshela with his defense has been close, but he
I
makes
think
some
other
he
than
makes some
Aaron
plays.
Judge, I think other than Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton, Gio Urshela is the best guy for this Yankees.
Yeah, he
bull-
gets
uh,
that
He's
he-
hitting fairly
young
well.
player
I
too.
mean,
If he can
Well,
get that
of
as open
course.
shot.
Yeah.
in the AL.
All right. We're gonna look at I guess left field now. Or are we doing
Just-
are we doing
Just gi-
three
just give me
outfielders or are we
three
looking at left
fielders.
field?
Yeah, just give me three fielders.
Three outfielders. All right, Ian, you go first.
Yeah.
We're three outfielders you like.
Okay, well, an outfielder that I've been looking at personally, Austin Meadows. He certainly is. I mean, I would argue one of the best. 14 home runs, of course, other than Aaron Judge. 14 home runs, 44 RBIs.
Best outfielder in the AL East. I think this is open and shut. I'm going to go with Aaron Judge. I mean, he's having an all-star season. He's swinging the bat very well, and he's a great. Him and Stanton, like I said before, that they're the reason that the Yankees had any offensive production whatsoever. So he's been taking care of himself very well. I mean, he hasn't had any extended stints on the IL. I would put him over Meadows. And I wouldn't say Meadows is top 3 outfield in the AL East. I think he can swing the
Oh,
bat
no, of
very
course
well,
not.
but he's more of a DH in my opinion.
Yeah,
Okay,
you
so
could
you
I
have
would
a-
consider him for either way. All right, so my number one guy I like in the outfield in the AL East. I would also agree with Aaron Judge, but it's close.
Okay.
I think there's been a lot of great outfielders in the AL East this year. It's gonna be hard to not include some of these guys on this slim list I can. But I'm just gonna take over and been the only guy who's shown up this year. Ryan Mountcastle's shown flashes of his promise. Randall Grichuk too has been also a huge surprise. I thought he was just a fill. I thought he was gonna be a fill-in on the roster for the Blue Jays, but more time to develop. But Grichuk has just been swinging the bat, man. Also a great defensive center fielder. I feel like he's just been getting the job done in Toronto.
Yeah, I
easily.
agree. I'd give my other two win the games that they can, which haven't been a lot, but it's not surprising with a lineup.
Those two have definitely been solid, I would agree. And I didn't speak on Grichuk a lot, but I do think he's very good. I also think Hernandez is very good. As far as current performance, Grichuk is you could easily pick him. But Hernandez has been keeping it in his own right. I mean, he's got great offensive numbers still. He's really carried over from
It's a surprise they're not better, especially when they get George Springer back. I mean, they're gonna have I'm gonna list off a couple. Just listen to this. They're gonna have Simeon, Kayvon Biggio, Vladimir Guerrero. That's almost like an all-star 8 players right there. It doesn't get much better than that. What are your guys' thoughts
Okay,
on this?
so-
Oh yeah, easily. They
Yeah,
have a
no,
very
I'm
strong-
passing on that one.
Yeah, well, that lineup just
Okay.
seems pretty scary to me. You guys
Kinda.
want to do pitching now?
Of course.
Let's look into this. Oh, actually, we should do
Let's-
DH, but I feel like
let's do
we can all
JD
agree on
is
JD
pretty open and
Martinez.
shut.
All right.
To
I guess I'll start us off.
yeah,
First,
yeah.
as my ace, I would like Garrett Cole, followed by Tyler Glasnow, followed by John Means. I don't think anyone from the Blue Jays is qualified to make it.
Rich Hill.
Rich Hill, I put Rich Hill 4 because his strong outing of May. He's great command, hardly ever loses any games, low ERA, very very consistent repertoire from him.
Very consistent.
Any Red
say-
Sox pitcher you want besides
They've been
Eduardo
very good for
Rodriguez,
Rodriguez.
I would say.
Yeah. Oh, Garrett Richards has had a fantastic.
Yeah, Garrett
season for the Red
Richards
Sox.
too. He's up there. Red Sox, I
Yeah,
mean,
slow start, but he's been very good recently.
their pitching's really.
He could be a solid ace for the Red Sox. I mean, even though with his weird mechanics, I could see a guy like him, very determined, bounce back very well from the surgery.
All right, and you got anything crazy?
Sucks, but I'm personally going with Martin Perez. He's having an outstanding year.
Yeah, had that shutout against the Astros the other night.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
They've been pitching well.
So, final segment here. Well, let's start with you.
All right, so I feel like the Red Sox are going to complete their sweep of the Yankees. They've just been outplaying them this whole series. I just don't see any reason why they would slow down. And then I'm gonna have to pull up the schedule real quick. I'm gonna see what our next opponents are for the Sox. So after this series, we play the Marlins and then we play the Astros again. Blue Jays. So that'll be an important AL East matchup for the weekend. And I think Red Sox can probably pull away that one. Rays are gonna get the Orioles that week, so they should the Twins. So, what are you guys' thoughts on your team's opponents?
So personally, what I think for our next 10 games, we have a very, very beatable schedule. Like if we continue to play how we are now, then we may falter against this. But I think we really, if there was ever a time to have this this upcoming schedule, it would be now. The Yankees really need to turn it around, and we face some opponents that we could do just that too. We faced the Twins this week. We also faced the Phillies. The Twins, they've been absolutely horrible. They've been underperforming all the way, and I think it's the perfect team that the Yankees can play to turn it around. As for Boston, I think we have Herman. Don't quote me on that. Played us these last couple games. I think Herman might be able to spin us some momentum, carry it through the Twins. We could really sweep them. I mean, the Yankees have great history against the Twins, and they've been terrible this year. Get some momentum from that, carry that on to the Phillies, and then just bring that all the way and maybe upset the Blue Jays. You know, we've lost to them a lot. Maybe we could turn that season series around and have. If you want to go through the last 7, I think we go 5-2.
All right,
Okay,
Ian, what are we
Ian, what
thinking
about
for the
you?
Rays?
Yeah, I think the Rays could get in one of those winning streaks again. I mean, they're hot start in June. As for Boston, that is going to be a bit of a difficult week. They're facing Houston and the Blue Jays, so those are two obviously for bad opponents this upcoming week. And as for the O's, you know, the O's will be the O's. They play the Mets, the Indians. That'll be probably tough for them considering how bad they.
That should be right. They play the Rangers again.
Yeah, they're in the middle of the
that should
series.
that should be a good win. I think the standings won't change too much after this week. Maybe the Yankees gain a game.
Right, in a couple weeks.
I have a bit of a hot take.
What do you got?
So, with the underperforming Yankees in the past few seasons, it's more of a question than a hot. How long the string on Aaron Boone is for the Yankees? But I have to imagine that the Yankees front office has got to be tugging.
And I'm going to speak on this here. Cashman, I think the manager position has really changed a lot from what it used to be. He doesn't really have a backbone, Boone. I mean, as a Yankees fan, I think he's got to go. I think our hitting coach is also another excuse you can give for us being the only team in the major leagues who has this terrible, awful of a base running.
Yeah, you also look at all the errors too and the laziness.
All the errors. I mean, there's not a lot of hustle on the team. You can tell we're unmotivated. Necessarily. I mean, he's gotten some rings, but in the last 10 years, he's been horrible. I mean, he's gotten Cole. He's gotten some big name free agents. He's gotten Cole and Stan. I mean, is that a laundry list? And he hasn't been doing that. So you really got to question Cashman at that point too. Boone and Cashman haven't been doing great for the Yankees. Ian, you brought it up. I think you spoke really well on it. Boone can't have too much longer of a leash. I think you really got to pull this guy out of the hot seat.
All right, yeah, I got a pair of takes I'll drop before we head out. I think Trey Mancini's. Secondly, I think when Sale comes back, he instantly becomes a top 5 pitcher, and the Red Sox get even better. I don't see any reason for Sale to regress due to the fact his injury has been well healed for almost over a year now. So he should be all right to continue pitching.
Weird mechanics. I've talked about this a little bit. It's typically, and now, like I said before, Sale is a really dominant guy. I would not be surprised. It's been harder on guys who throw sidearm and have weird mechanics. That's just, it's harder to rebound because they're not really as easy to relearn, I guess.
I'm not sure if Trey Mancini is even thinking about leaving Baltimore. I'm not sure how loyal of a guy he is, but I mean, I assume he's been with Baltimore. How long has he been with Baltimore? One of the top producers on that team. So we'll see what happens. I think the O's should be looking to shop big names for prospects, but hey, you never know.
Yeah, well, I think with the O's, this is kind of my hot take, is that not only that I agree with Braden in that Trey Mancini could easily be.
Cedric Mullins is still pretty young. I mean, he's
pretty young,
26
but
years old.
If the Orioles really want to rebuild, how many guys do you think they have to ship away? A handful, right?
I would say they have
Mullins has gotta
Trey
be on the block.
Mancini, and that's the AL East.
Okay, so that'll end it. Thank you for tuning in, and until next week, this is the Beast of the East podcast.